Hey y'all, today we're going to be talking about JobTread's time tracking feature. So there is some setup that has to happen initially for you to be able to use it, for your employees to be able to use it. So today we're going to focus in on that. So first thing you want to do, navigate down to settings, and I'm going to have you go over to members. So it's important to note that anyone that you want to use the time tracking feature in JobTread does have to be an internal user. And the cost may vary on that depending on what your specific subscription looks like. So you can either go to jobtread.com/pricing, or you can reach out to your customer success manager and we can help you understand what that cost might look like. Once you have that sorted and you begin to enter in your internal users, the next thing that you want to do is set a rate. So anyone who wants to use the time tracking feature does also have to have a rate set. So if I click into here, what most people are going to be inclined to do is type in the hourly amount that they pay their employees. So it's actually not what we're looking for. We're actually looking for the burdened hourly rate here. So what that is that's that hourly rate plus the overhead that it costs you for them to be on the job. So JobTread's a very cost-focused system. We're trying to help you understand not just what you're paying the employee, but what you have to pay in totality for them to be on site. So a good number floating around out there right now is the hourly rate times 1.4. So that $25 would then become $35. And so let's say next would be our overtime rate, and the overtime rate would become 52.50. And then even double time would become 70 there. So now that we have our rate set, the next thing that we're going to want to look into is setting up a role. So we have a separate video that talks about roles and permissions and what the ins and outs of that are. So definitely go check that out if you're looking to learn more about roles. We're just going to lightly touch on it today just to go over specifically what is set up here for time tracking. So here we can say with this specific role that I've set up, they have the ability to clock in and out and modify their own time entries. So again, reference that other video and it's going to dive into that a little bit deeper. So next thing I want to do is take that role that I've created for this person and I want to set that role for them. This sets their permissions in terms of clocking in and out as well as other parts of the system. From there, I want to go into my general settings and I want to specifically draw attention to break durations and overtime. So these are helpful tools that are here for you to help save you some time on the back end. In situations like where my employee clocks out for a break, forgets to clock in, they're normally going to reach out to me, my field supervisor, project manager, whoever that might be, to go in and correct that punch. So the break duration exists here so that way when your employee clocks out, what happens is they see a break button and set by me, I can clock in here and now it begins a 30-minute timer. And at the end of that 30-minute timer, it's actually going to clock me back in automatically. So I can actually offer more than one rate if I would like to, or duration if I would like to. So I have a 15 and a 30. What they'll see in that event is if I click on this, they have a drop down and they can select between the two different breaks there. And again, so if I clock in on the 15-minute, or if I hit the break button for the 15-minute, it's going to clock me out, and then 15 minutes later will automatically clock me back in. So that's a helpful tool, and again, can save you some time on the admin side from having to go in and correct all these time punches. The next thing that we've added in to help you again on that admin side is adding in the overtime rules. So here we can see a couple examples. So on the 8th hour daily, they'll be switched over into overtime, or let's say the 60th hour weekly will head into double time. So again, instead of you having to go in and recategorize those as the proper rate, JobTread's going to do it automatically for you. So those tools are both here to help. If you're not interested in using those, specifically even in the break, we've heard that, you can just delete both of these, save it, and the break option will go away. Same thing there. So those are there to help you out. The next thing that I would draw your attention to do is going to be in the costing section. Now, this really is to help make it clear to those of you who are, your users who are clocking in and out. If you're looking for them to track time to specific items, you definitely want to make sure to get this tracked into the appropriate cost types. So some people will turn all of these on. And what'll happen if we turn all of these different things on, if I go to try to clock into a job, is I'm going to see a huge list of items that is probably going to be extremely confusing, and you can expect that your employees are probably going to clock into the wrong item. So what we actually want to do here, and what's helpful, is to make sure that we only have the items time trackable for things like labor, or if you lump labor and materials together, making sure that they can track time so that they can clock into those items as well. And what that will do is it will clean up that list of options to clock into. So switch, go back into this one, And now we can see it's a much more concise list of things that we would actually want them to track time for. So make sure that you have this turned on for the appropriate cost types there. And then lastly, I'll go over is for those of you who are integrated with QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop, the final things that you want to do to make sure that if you're looking for those time entries to go over into your payroll, then you want to make sure to go into your integration and go to employee mapping. Make sure that these are one-to-one matched. Obviously, to Josh, it would be Josh. Remy, it would be Remy. This is a sandbox, so I don't have those employees actually set up, so I can't do it. But your list of it currently, logged employees in QuickBooks would show up here. So if you have done that, and let's say you've entered some time, but you forgot to do this part, you want to get familiar with the unsynced records. And so unsynced records, click on this drop down, go to time entries, and here's a list of all of my entries that did not port over into QuickBooks. So I'm going to try to push one of these forward. It's going to actually give me a helpful error that's going to let me know that, yeah, I didn't map my employees properly, so I need to go back and do that before I can push this time entry. So if you have any questions about that, you run into any errors that you're not familiar with, please don't hesitate to reach out to support@jobtread.com or reach out to your customer success manager. We would be happy to help you.